Good morning, afternoon, or evening. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Yes, I'm Biased, but Here's Why. I'm your host, Monique James. This is a podcast where we dive into polarizing topics and explore the things that influence how we feel about those topics. Dare I say, our own bias. So please, share, like, and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. Let's dive into today's topic. It is the month of October and it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And so I do have a personal bias towards celebrating this month and being active about information in this month, but I'll tell you about that bias in a minute. Breast cancer is the second most common cause of cancer-related death among women in the United States after lung cancer. According to the American Cancer Society, 90% of people who receive a diagnosis of breast cancer will live for at least another 5 years. This includes all types of breast cancer at any stage or stage of diagnosis. However, the survival rate for people who receive a diagnosis of breast cancer in the early stages or localized cancer is 99%. And I have one of those survivors joining us today as a guest. Is my mom, none other than Leslie Sterling. Hey, Mom.
Hello.
So I wanted to bring my mom on here. She was one of those people who received a diagnosis early and was able to recover, and she is a breast cancer survivor. And so what's important about that is part of what she does is she shares with people, or she encourages people to get diagnosed early or to get screened early. And she'll tell us what the best way to do that is. So let's start with, Mom, I just want you to give people a sense of your journey. If you could kind of encapsulate what happened, how you found out.
To start getting mammograms. I am a woman who is top heavy. Recognize whether it was, and so I would always get, as annoying as it was great for me moving forward because they knew what to look for. So it was always, okay, well, Ms. Sterling, this is what happens, so then I would have to go back. And like I said, as annoying as it was, because as women, we know that that's not one of the favorite times of the year for us. But I'm glad that I did it because at 40, like I said, I started doing it. And so I would go, instead of the once a year, I would end up going twice a year because they wanted to make sure. And then the time that I went, which was 6 years ago, the time that I went and they saw something that was like, okay, it's not like the unsure that we've seen in the past. It was, Mr. Sterling, we need you to come back again. And then I had to come back again. And at that point, they found which is called DCIS. One of the things that was great about it is because it was found early on because I was going for my mammograms. They saw that there was something different, so they wanted me to come in again. I had to go in then for the biopsy. I had to search for a place to go. But they did find me a place in South Philadelphia. At the hospital. Oh goodness! Again, I just had a thought. I couldn't remember.
It was 6 years ago, and it was a cancer diagnosis. I think you get a pass for not remembering every single detail.
Yeah. And so I went to the hospital, and they did the biopsy, and then of course I got the call about. I'm gonna say a week and a half later, and the doctor said that she said, Ms. Sterling, it is cancer. She said, but I believe I can get it. This was my surgeon, Dr. Chaka, awesome woman. So I did everything that they said to do. I had the first surgery, and after that surgery, I was told that they weren't able to get all of the cancer, so they scheduled me I had 2 more surgeries. So. I was told that I was not going to have to do chemotherapy, but I was supposed to have radiation follow-up. She came in the room scratching her head, and her very words were, "We have nothing to zap, Ms. Sterling." And so as a woman of faith, Can I just say that? As a
Uh-huh.
woman of faith, it was like, lady, I need you to leave because I need to really bless my God. I really need to shout. I need to praise him. And she did, and I did. Uh, and so she came back into the room again, maybe about another 10 minutes. 10 minutes later, she spoke to the radiation oncologist, and she said to me that the radiation oncologist wanted to see me anyway, even though I didn't have to have the radiation. And so I was concerned. It's like, well, if I don't have to have this radiation, then why does she want to see me? But prior to me getting to that, I wanted to just say that I had a conversation with the surgeon in that same appointment. And she said to me, she said, I'm glad that you came. I'm glad that you did all that you were supposed to do leading up to this, because I'm glad that you're cancer free. And so when she said that to me, there was something that clicked. It's like, I want everybody that I know, everybody that is attached to me, everybody that will hear my voice, I need them to hear that they need to have their mammograms done. And one of the reasons why is because it is unfortunate in the African American community, we don't. We don't get the test that we need to survive. We don't, because of fear, because of family history. There are many reasons why we don't, but that goes to why the radiation oncologist wanted to meet me. So I get there. I made the appointment. I get there, and I'm still like, because if I don't have to have radiation, then why do you want to see me? My daughter Monique took a picture of me one of the times that I was going into surgery. And I was smiling, and I had been joking with the team and talking to them. And by the way, I had the same team each time. Monique can attest to that. It was like something that was unheard of. But that's what she said. She said you had the same team. They all talked about how amazing you were when you were going in. And I was like, I don't know about amazing, but okay. And she said, tell me, how did you do it? And I said, if you really want to know. And she said, I really want to know. Again, being a woman of faith, I said to her, it was because of my faith in my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And she said, I knew it. And the reason that she wanted me to come to see her, she wanted me to talk to women that would come to radiation and to get their treatments done. And she wanted me to talk to them. She wanted me to talk to families. And I was like, wow, I was so honored, because I was just somebody who had a cancer diagnosis. And so I started studying and getting, becoming educated, because all I knew was what I knew. Just by the grace of God, it was found early. It was stage 0, because I was going for my mammogram every year. And so that's something that I'm screaming from the rooftops now, especially in the African American community, because was it scary to hear you have cancer? Absolutely. Didn't know how to tell my family, didn't know how I was going to do this or that or the other thing. And then I paused. I had my prayer, and I did what they said to do, what the doctor said to do. The doctor said, come do this. I did that. They said, come and do this. I did whatever they said that I needed to do for my survival.
I'm glad you put a fine point on that. That's something that I definitely want to emphasize, is that, whenever we're in October and this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, obviously we celebrate survivors. We hold up and pray for the families of those who did not survive breast cancer. But most importantly, we talk about how to survive if you are to ever get a diagnosis. And the first line of defense for survival is to get those mammograms. If you have a family history, and Mom, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but if you have a family history of breast cancer, then you should not wait until 40 to get you start getting your mammograms, but you should get them earlier. And so the most, like I said, that's the most important thing, is really to give information and to make sure that we're pressing each other and we're holding each other accountable for our own survival, just as women. And, for the record, men do get breast cancer, but it is far more prevalent in women. And just to backtrack, the DCIS stands for ductal carcinoma in situ. Now, this was So I'm going to tell a little bit about my experience of this. I was actually on the phone with my mom when she got the call, and she clicked over to get the response from the doctor that the cancer was there. And for me, I don't remember saying anything on the phone that would have intimated how I felt, but I just took my cue from her. And I'm speaking as if I'm speaking to the audience, but Mom, that's like that was really how I approached it. You told me, and I just remember being like, okay, because you were like, okay. And I remember getting off the phone. So then, all you said to me was, yes, there's cancer. This ductal carcinoma, like whenever I hear any of those nomas, that is really scary to me. So I'm glad I never actually heard that term until now, 6 years after you're cancer free. So good, because I wasn't afraid. But also, as you intimated, being people of faith, that's immediately where you turn. But I also want to bring forth the point that you made, that I prayed. I knew I had all of my faith in God, but I also did everything that the medical professionals told me to do. And that's really important too, is that it's going to the doctor, getting scans, getting screenings, having regular checkups just in life is something that oftentimes, especially as women, we push to the background because we're so busy taking care of everyone else in our lives. And we really need to be able to prioritize our health so that we can continue to be around for the things that are important. So thank you for sharing that. What else do you want people to know, women to know, but also people who are, we all have somebody who's a woman in our family. And maybe if that woman isn't necessarily listening to this or other information, if you have women in your family, there are things that, we would encourage you to say to them, encourage them to do or whatever. So, Mom, what else do you want to say?
So I definitely want to reiterate to the African American community that it is not as bad as we think that it is. And you won't know unless you try it. Self exams and mammograms are the key to our survival. Self exams and mammograms, if you don't remember anything else. And what I want to say to husbands and sons and daughters, to each other and whoever you are, anyone in your life, just if you can, just talk to them and say, hey, let's try it. If nothing else, you can try having a mammogram, and it's not as bad as you think that it is. And even if you get, like I did, the diagnosis of Miss Sterling, you have cancer. But I promise you, if you do what the doctors say, I can't promise you, what your outcome will be. But what I can say is that the earlier that it is found, the survival rate is at least 98%. And so we want to make sure that we're here for our families. Monique hit it on the head earlier, where we want to do. Unfortunately, we everything is on our shoulders, but we want to do everything that we can do to stay here for our families.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And as we prepare to close the episode, I did want to go back to one thing, and just kind of, the reason why that the doctor that you mentioned wanted to see you is because I was at the hospital when she was going into surgery, and you would have thought she was going to a party. I'm talking about, big smile with the little net on her head. She's got, she's on her phone with the font size turned up to like 57. Like she's an old lady you can't see. But I took her picture because I was like, this is the thing that this is what I want to celebrate, is just her approach. And again, just like you said, Mom, it doesn't guarantee any outcome, but it does help to have a positive approach and to have people in your life that are supportive. So, every year, obviously, I celebrate. I'm grateful to God that we still have you, that, my siblings, that we still have our mom, that the grandkids get to have the world's best mom. And, we're grateful, and having, doing self exams and having those mammograms are what can make the difference. So as we prepare to get out of here, my mom has a resource organization called Women of Excellence. It is a domestic violence awareness resource organization that serves victims of domestic violence and their children. And in the month of October, they take on the mantle of being a resource organization for breast cancer awareness. So I actually just said what your organization is, and I was supposed to let you do that, but I do want to give you space to plug the upcoming event.
Thank you so much. Yes, Women's Excellence Ministries organization. We service victims of domestic violence and their children, as Monique stated. And yes, October, we tack on the awareness for breast cancer. And this month is our month of fundraiser. We do a fundraiser every year. It will be October the 30th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. It will be at the ASME DC 33. That's the District 33. It's at 3001 Walnut Street in Philadelphia. If anybody wants to reach out to us, the tickets are $45, and they can reach out to us at area code 215-539-3289 for tickets and more information. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Monique.
My pleasure, of course, for the 9 months you carried me. I'm just paying it back. But thank you so much for joining us. I think it's important this is a really important topic for people to be aware of. There's something that we all can do that really doesn't take that much. And that's just to examine ourselves and make sure that we get our mammograms. All right, everybody, you heard October 30th, 11 to 3 in Philadelphia. If you're interested in attending, tickets are $45. It is a fundraiser so that Women of Excellence Ministries can continue to do the great work that it does. If you are interested, you can call the number that my mom just stated, or you can reach out to me on social media platforms. We both are biased. Get yourself checked so you can stick around. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Yes, I'm Biased, but here's why.